Hello. Hey.
Hey.
I'm just testing. Hopefully that works. Cool. Let's see. Start virtual camera.
Yeah, cool. That's the right way around.
That's the right way around? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's flipped for me for some reason. Like on Discord.
I think it's like, it's so that it's more like looking at yourself in the mirror than it is. Like a lot of webcam things do it like that, so that you don't feel like you're looking at someone different or something. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
So that it's more similar to looking at yourself in the mirror, but everyone actually like sees a total different version of you.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. Then yeah, that'll be good. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's fine on my end. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna stream on YouTube soon as well. Okay, I'm just gonna play this.
I'll do myself then. See you later.
See ya! Hello and welcome back to the third session of VTuber Game Development Open Q&A session. As the weeks have progressed, I hope you've really enjoyed the past kind of like 2 open Q&A sessions, and hopefully some of the ideas will be able to inspire you to make your own VTuber studio and to continue on your development. And so today, just a bit of recap of the Offworld Live shared repository project. The OWL shared repository is a permissive open source Unreal project file repository on GitHub. And these assets will be also shared via Pastebin, our own download center, as well as Knowledge Center. And our shared project will also be community-led and orientated, encouraging collaboration and contribution. So the Offworld shared repository will kind of include currently 2 pathways, one on the kind of VTuber Studio and one on virtual production side. That's also, we're also having weekly sessions every Thursdays. So just a bit of a VTuber Studio overview. When we first started on the first week, we kind of outlined our goals to achieve in this development, and particularly we've been looking at dissecting what it takes to create a VTuber studio and what are the kind of main components that will build up the studio. And so of course we've got the main menu as well as different camera or capture systems, alongside with render targets. We've also talked about media output and streaming, as well as media feeds in, so allowing you to stream in and out of Unreal Engine. And then finally, also kind of like live link for you to kind of like alter the blend shapes or move with the virtual avatar in this game, as well as changing these characters and customizing the environment as well as the avatar. So this is the kind of like breakdown of our weeks ahead, and also kind of structures our VTuber studio in a way. And so more recap, where are we now? So a brief overview of where we're at with the VTuber studio. For the past 2 weeks, we've been focusing on Offworld Live capture systems, as well as render targets and actor blueprints. And so moving on from that, we'll be looking specifically into media outputs and different kind of Offworld Live outputs, allowing you to stream out of Unreal as well as record to kind of file and save to file. And so today we'll be looking specifically into captures and outputs, and then in the next week or so we'll be walking through inputs, live link, and customization very quickly as well. And so this week, apart from kind of like reintroducing the VTuber Studio to us, we've also got kind of like the latest updates to let you know like how we've been developing this VTuber Studio. And apart from that, we've also got a bit of introduction on different Offworld Live output systems. So if you're not familiar with our live streaming toolkit, we offer very different output solutions directly from Unreal. So we'll be accessing these outputs, such as virtual webcam, Spout sender, NDI sender, real-time messaging, protocol streaming, as well as media recording. And we'll be learning how to access them through blueprints as well as in editor, and just learn about these output systems and how we can creatively use them. And particularly, I think it would be really useful to learn these output systems for the VTuber Studio. And particularly the VTuber Studio is really useful so that you can clone our project files to recreate and customize your own VTuber streaming studio seamlessly. And in order to do that, you simply have to kind of download our example level next week from our download center. and then you'll be able to package the project into a standalone app and game of your own. Within the level and widget blueprints, we've also offered kind of different customization tools using persistent levels so that you can import your own environments and avatars in the future. And by cloning this VTuber Studio, you'll also get access to different useful blueprints and widget blueprints for you to very quickly customize and change up the style for your own app or game. And so these levels are pre-configured. They've got all the kind of like capture systems, render targets, materials, as well as outputs already as actors imported into the level, so they're very easy to use and pre-configured. So from next week onwards, what you have to do is really just import your environments and avatars, and you'll be able to start kind of streaming directly out of Unreal super easily. And so just a bit of teaser for next week, we'll be having our first release of the VTuber Studio. This VTuber Studio is kind of like a beta release, so it'll be available for downloads on our download center on the Offworld Live website. Alongside that, we'll also, of course, be hosting our Discord demo, as well as having kind of accompanying knowledge base articles to come with it, so that you can learn how to customize and change different settings for different captures, as well as outputs. So if you are a streamer or VTuber but don't know how to get started on setting up your character, camera capture systems, streaming in or streaming out of Unreal, today's demo is really a perfect walkthrough of what we have done in our kind of like captures and media outputs to get you up to speed on creating a VTuber Studio. And so that by next week, you can also learn how to develop your own VTuber Studio by cloning this project. So let's take a look at this week's demo. This week's demo, we're focusing on Offworld Live output systems, and to start every demo, we have our ingredients list. First, we will have the different types of Offworld Live outputs alongside the Offworld Live captures and render targets, as well as widget blueprints from past week's tutorials. And so you can see that in the past weeks we've talked about different OWL captures, as well as attaching render targets and materials to your static mesh, and we'll be combining all these concepts together in a widget blueprint today. Having walked through different Offworld Live capture systems the past 2 weeks, today we'll also walk you through how you can link up these capture systems and output the captures from Unreal to external platforms or software or applications. Currently, we have 5 options for you to output directly from Unreal, including the virtual webcam, Offworld Live Spout sender, Offworld NDI sender, RTMP streaming, as well as media recording. It sounds like a lot of jargon and a lot of acronyms, but don't worry, we'll be walking through each output very clearly so that you will know which one will suit you best for your VTuber setup. And so first we have the virtual webcam. If you're familiar with a virtual webcam, such as the one I'm using now on Discord, the Offworld Live virtual webcam output allows you to take any render target and use it as your webcam texture on different video conferences or video calls, such as on Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, so on and so forth. And this really allows you to be a VTuber even on video calls or work calls. And so this is just an example of me and Jasper on a call as our different metahumans, so that you will be able to have conversations as your kind of like virtual character. So this is one way you can output directly from Unreal into a virtual webcam. Secondly, we also have our Spout sender. For those who don't know what Spout is, Spout is an ultra-fast real-time video routing option for Windows. And so using Spout, you can send videos between different applications. And you can use the Spout plugin that Offworld Live has offered for OBS Studio for you to receive Spout video input from any Spout-enabled program. And so here what I've done is I've linked up in the VTuber Studio a Spout sender so that it will be sending different render targets directly to OBS for you to easily record your render targets externally on an OBS on OBS Studio. So this is another way for you to kind of output your render targets out of Unreal. And then we also have NDI Sender. NDI stands for Network Device Interface, and NDI allows you to share videos along with video, audio, and metadata across IP networks. So, for example, one very good use of NDI is to allow you to send different media feeds across different computers over a local area network. So a lot of kind of like production studios use this to help them manage and separate computers that are running Unreal, as well as the ones sending the kind of like, or streaming the kind of media feeds to somewhere else. So this is a really good way if you want to have other computers to kind of collate media feeds and send them off. And here you can see in the VTuber Studio, I've also included the NDI sender for you to send different render targets from the capture systems through NDI. And our next option is real-time messaging protocol. This is simplified as RTMP, and it's a type of video encoding that allows that makes video streaming possible. And so if you are familiar with Twitch or YouTube or going on live mode for some of these kind of like platforms, including Bilibili as well, you're able to use RTMP to stream from your computer to YouTube and Twitch seamlessly. And for this to happen, you will need a streaming server, so such as an RTMP kind of URL for YouTube and Twitch, as well as a stream key. And stream keys can often be found in your account settings, so that you can copy the stream key into this application, and then you'll be able to stream to YouTube or Twitch. And the Offworld Live live streaming toolkit lets you live stream or record video with multi-channel audio directly from Unreal within the editor, also at runtime and in a packaged game. And so this is a really good way if you have a packaged game or you want to record something while you're playing the game. This is a really good option to do game streams through RTMP streaming. And as I've mentioned, with the media output option also comes with kind of media recording. So this is the save to file option, allowing you to record all these render targets immediately with our built-in media output actor. And so once you drop the media output actor into your scene and select the render target, you can choose the option to save to file. And as you can see here, I have very quickly kind of use our kind of VTuber Studio interface to save to file. By choosing the kind of file name as well as file path, I was able to very quickly save to my file. And so this is a really good way to record to record files out of Unreal, because using the movie render queue or OBS is not the fastest option. So this is the most direct kind of option, recording from Unreal, and very specifically choosing the render targets or captures you want to take out of Unreal as well. And so after explaining all the kind of different Offworld Live capture systems, let's look into our VTuber Studio as a demo so that I can walk you through what we've been working on for the past few weeks. So I'm just going to drag up the very familiar VTuber Studio. As you can see, you've already seen this VRM avatar many times. But what's different this time is that we will be introducing the widget blueprint. Before I introduce that, I'm just going to quickly show you what are our current capabilities. So this is our current interface, and it allows us to choose from, like I've said, the kind of media capture as well as output. We've also got media feeds for you to stream in to Unreal. And then we've got the live face capture, so you can use Live Link to control the kind of blend shapes and have these characters speak as you speak as well. And then we've also got different characters for you to choose from. So we've got, for our first instance, we've got the Metahuman here, as well as our current VRM character. And so just kind of like bringing back the past week's knowledge, we've learned to toggle between different off-world capture systems. In this widget here, you can also see from the drop down that this is linked to the toggle. So in the actor blueprint, we learned to toggle through a keyboard press event. And here, similarly, using the very same logic, we are able to toggle these capture systems through a button. So we've just kind of like changed from viewport to Cinecam, and then to Cinecam with an alpha channel, and then to 360 and 360 with the character. And this is the kind of toggle system we've been creating the past week. Alternatively, we've also created a widget with a drop down so that you can choose from the drop down which render target you would like to use. Once you've kind of decided on which one you would like to which kind of like render target you would like to use, you'll be able to choose different outputs for you to share with your friends. These kind of like scenes you've been creating in Unreal. And so, as I mentioned, there are 5 options at the moment, allowing you to stream out of Unreal using the webcam, Spout sender, NDI sender, streaming, and media recording. So these are the options listed here. Every time you click an option, you can click output. Clicking an output will allow these settings to be kind of like refreshed and saved. And so because I'm on, I can try to pull up potentially a Google Meet video call so that we can see if this virtual webcam is working. And so I've just pulled up a Google Meet, and because we have kind of selected the Cinecam and the webcam output, we're able to use and link these kind of this capture to the output, and output via Google Meets. Alternatively, we can also use Spout. So as I've mentioned, Spout uses something called so Spout is a zero latency video streaming or rerouting option. And so I've pulled up OBS here for us to kind of preview what we can see on Spout sender. So let's choose a different capture, maybe the 360, so that we can try to output this. And using the kind of Spout plugin we've created for OBS, you can simply add source, click Spout to capture to create a new source, And using the first available sender, we'll be able to see our 360 texture here. And so just hiding that now, take a look at the NDI option as well. So I used the studio monitor to kind of check different feeds. And as mentioned, you'd have to click output for this connection to refresh. And so now our 360 texture is also shown here. Before we get into kind of like streaming and media recording, I think it'll be really good to look at the widget blueprint to see how we can access Spout and NDI within the blueprint and learn about the different nodes linked to them. So let's take a look now. Just pulling up the widget blueprint. Because this project will be shared, just have a look at the kind of project hierarchy. I've saved everything for the VRM level to be in VH, standing for virtual human _ VRM. And so within the widget folder here, you'll be able to find the VRM widget. And so all these kind of like drop downs you've been seeing are combo boxes we've created inside a canvas in the widget blueprint, and these are all buttons here. And so after you've designed the kind of layout and UI of your widget blueprint, you can go to the graph editing mode. And for this, you will see lots of nodes we've been kind of like compiling for the past 2-3 weeks. But just to show you how NDI and Spout works, our current settings are kind of like refresh every time we hit the output button, which is the fill color button over here. And so every time this event happens every time we press the output button, and so it starts from here. And so without kind of like drowning in too much of the kind of like connections and nodes, we'll be only looking at Spout output and NDI output today. What I've done here very quickly to explain is that we've using the combo box as an object reference, so that we're referencing what the combo box, which is this drop-down menu, is giving us. I'll be getting the kind of index from the combo box, so that if we look at the combo box here, virtual webcam is index 0, Spout is 1, NDI 2, streaming 3, and media recording is 4. And so by getting the selected index of the selected kind of choice from widget, we'll be able to use this index to switch to different options. And because Spout and NDI are 1 and 2 in terms of their index respectively, they are linked to these options. And so looking into Spout, we first have to make sure that we are referencing the Spout sender within the scene. And so as I mentioned in the ingredients list, your scene must contain all the kind of output systems already. And so for that, we have the virtual webcam output, Spout sender manager, as well as NDI sender manager. And so looking at Spout sender manager and NDI sender manager, we already have them in our scene, so that's great. And so first we have to declare a variable to make sure that within our blueprint we can reference the Spout output. So looking at the Spout output, I have created a new variable called Spout output, and in the kind of drop down I've typed offworld owl Spout sender manager. And this is an object reference, which is a single object reference, I believe, which we can find the kind of Spout senders. We can find the Spout senders within the Spout sender manager. And so what I've done here is that once I've created a Spout sender manager, depending on which render target I'm using, I've created five Spout senders, which one of them will be activated depending on the kind of like capture mode I'm using. And so I have got the viewport render target as my first sender, Cinecam Alpha, 360 and 360 Alpha. So the same kind of like sequence with the drop-down menu. And so once I've created and added 5 elements to my array, I was able to use to reference the Spout output manager and get all the Spout senders within the array. And using the for each loop, we'll be checking the index to kind of loop through which kind of like which sender we need to set active to make sure they're responding to my widget. And so in order to do that, we have to pull from the Spout sender link, and then using the get reference node to instead of please be mindful to use the get reference node instead of the get copy node. So we'll be getting a ref node, and then from there we'll be getting kind of like different Spout sender interface structures, and from there we can pull this kind of blue line out and find set. As we know that we have to set them to active, when you create a new set members in a Spout interface node, you'll see that there's no way for us to set anything active, or we can't change render targets, and we can't rename the Spout sender. So that this might be very confusing for some people. But once you click into this node, you'll see that in the details panel on the left, there are options for you to add pin to set different options in your node. And so now you're able to kind of like check whether check to make these Spout senders active. You can change the name, and then you can also feed it a different render target. So this is how you can set members within the kind of Spout sender manager, and then to affect different Spout senders individually. And so the same logic goes to NDI output, where you would first reference the NDI object manager object reference. You'll get all the senders within NDI, and then to loop through the array to get each sender as a reference, and then set to make them active individually using the toggle index. So the toggle index is the kind of like toggle for the captures. And so these are the this is the current way we've kind of configured Spout and NDI output to be used within the blueprints. Hopefully that was clear. didn't want to overload too much within one demo, but I hope you were all able to see a bit of where we're at with the VTuber Studio, as well as kind of like a snippet of what we've done for media output for you to replicate if you were interested in using the kind of like Spout senders, or using or accessing Spout senders and NDI senders via Blueprint. And so thank you so much for your time, and now we're going to open up to any questions, if you have any questions. Yeah, absolutely. We're always looking for kind of contributions for blueprints. If you're interested in doing some kind of blueprints for it, that would be really lovely, because I'm also new. I'm also new to kind of learning about blueprints, and a lot of the times things could be streamlined and made more efficient or optimized. So it'd be really lovely to hear some feedback from you all, or even find out like what's the best way. What other kind of like interesting features you want to include in the VTuber Studio? Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, as mentioned, Wesley and I will be leading the kind of VTuber game open Q&A, and then on Thursdays, Jasper has been leading the virtual production sessions as well. And so if you want to, feel free to also send us any questions if you want to hear about more skeletal mesh or kind of like avatar specific workflows that we can get into a bit more as well. Because currently we've been digging in more into the widget blueprints and how to package a game through with our kind of off-world toolkit. That is really cool. I mean, if you have any assets you would like to kind of like contribute to the bigger repo, we'd love to see some of these textures as well. It sounds really, really cool. We've been doing currently very basic kind of materials for VTubers using just the VRM and Metahuman kind of avatars, but we'd be looking into kind of like doing more customizations or importing custom meshes as well. That would be really cool. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't used the control rig too much, but I've always been using kind of like live link or different mocap to kind of drive animation. So it'd be really nice to get into control rig side of things as well. Oh, that's great. That would be really, really cool. Yeah, I've always been really interested to do some puppeteering. Yeah, I've been a massive fan of Sam Rolfe's and seen some of the kind of like performances that they've been doing as well. The kind of puppeteering looks really, really cute. Yeah, might be a good opportunity to think about using gamepads. I've just got one lying here. And for Keel Block, welcome to our kind of Discord. We've got different sections. If you have any questions on support, any kind of like immediate questions you need regarding general workflow, so this is more the kind of like general UE kind of side of things, but we've also got kind of specific channels on live streaming toolkit, compositing 360, as well as our plugin for OBS. And our Bouty section is our kind of like community channels, so anything you would like to share for content creation, sharing really cool resources. And then we've also got kind of like self-promotion channel, as well as Virtual Human World, where you can like drop in anything you find interesting about avatars, skeletal meshes, rigging, so on and so forth. So feel free to just ask us any questions. So for Wednesdays and Thursdays, we'll be running kind of Q&A sessions that's really open. You're always free to ask questions. Although we might not always have all the answers, we'll be able to kind of like take it from there and kind of see if we can respond very quickly. But yeah, Jasper will be leading a streaming session on virtual production tomorrow. We'll be following a similar format, particularly looking into kind of developing VTuber Studios using the compositing toolkit, as well as persistent levels. Yeah, so in terms of plugins and software, we have our live streaming toolkit, which is a plugin for Unreal Engine. And so if you already have our website on there, when you go to Download Center, if you work non-commercially for Unreal and just want to test this plugin out, we have community licenses, so that in your Download Center, when you download this toolkit, you can register to have a community license, and that way you can start kind of immediately using our toolkit, then to kind of enable virtual webcam and Spout sender. Hope that's helpful. I'm also going to be dropping, I can just quickly drop a link here if you want to get into the downloads. And alongside that, I'm just going to also share my screen here. You'll be able to see in our download center the Spout plugin for OBS Studio, but also the Unreal Engine toolkit, which you can choose the kind of version of Unreal you're using, and then selecting the kind of plugin version you would like. And then once that's done, you can either select the installer or a zip file, and then when you click download, you should be guided through a kind of like community license application journey, and then we'll get those kind of like applications looked at and reviewed, and you should be able to get your license. Alternatively, I just saw this came out, which is a level that Jasper's been working on. So for those of you who are interested in kind of like cloning these projects, next week we'll be landing our VTuber Studio here, as well as a kind of like draft or beta version you can look at. Amazing. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the kind of chat below. I'll be hanging here for a few minutes if you have any questions you would like me to show you, or have any more kind of like specific workflow questions you'd like to ask. Yeah, thank you so much you all for coming, and we'll be hosting these sessions really regularly, so really excited to learn more from you as well. Thank you so much. Yeah, Wesley also worked on some of the blueprints. It's really, really nice to just really get in there. But yeah, I'm also really, really new to blueprints, so I'm still learning. Some of the blueprints you might get might not be the best quality, but it will work. And so hopefully the project will be up on the Download Center, and will be also we can all go through it together in more detail. Amazing. Thank you so much, you all, and see you next week as well as for tomorrow's session. Thank you. Goodbye.